Hello friends, welcome to my channel SN Physics. Today I shall discuss about the galvanometer, its working principle and the construction. Galvanometer is very important because almost in all electrical experiments, ammeter, voltmeter and galvanometers are used. Ammeter is nothing but the galvanometer with a low resistance shunt in it. Ammeter is a galvanometer basically with a low resistance shunt, and voltmeter is galvanometer with a high resistance in series. So galvanometer is very much important. A galvanometer is an instrument used to detect and measure, when properly calibrated, electrical currents and charges. In moving coil, this is the moving coil suspended galvanometer, suspended coil. It is actually vertically suspended, but it is shown here horizontal for better understanding of the subject. And this solid cylinder is also vertically placed, and these two magnets are horseshoe type magnet, so it is moving freely inside a cylindrical cavity. So when an electric current is passed through the coil experiences a torque due to the Lorentz force. The torque rotates the coil until the driving torque is balanced by the restoring torque of the coil suspension. There is a coil suspension here. So when these two torques are equal, a steady deflection is attained. The coil deflection measures the current passing through it. The coil frames, this coil is wound over a metallic frame. The coil frame is so mounted that it can rotate freely in the cylindrical cavity between the pole pieces of a permanent magnet of horseshoe form. A cylindrical solid soft iron core is placed within the coil to increase the magnetic flux in the gap and to provide a uniform radial magnetic field in which the coil rotates. Uniform radial magnetic field. This uniformity, the uniformity of the magnetic field, ensures a linear relationship between the currents and the magnetic field. It can be shown very easily. The direction is like this. So it is a radial field, and this is the solid cylinder, this is the upper cross section, this is the upper view, this is the solid cylinder, this is the solid cylinder, which increases the magnetic flux in the gap and to provide a uniform field here. Let us now see what is the direction of forces experienced by these wires. Note that current is flowing in this direction in this part of the coil. So this is the direction of current. The red arrow indicating my middle finger is the direction of current according Fleming's left hand rule. The blue arrow from north to south is the direction of the magnetic field. So thumb indicates the direction of throw or the direction of the force. So this part of the coil will experience a downward force. This current flows in the opposite direction in this part of the coil. So now this is the direction of the current. This middle finger towards you or towards the observer indicates the direction of current now. Magnetic field is along forefinger in this direction from north to south as before. So now this is the direction of the thumb of the left hand. So this is the direction of the force. So this part of the coil will experience an upward force. This part will experience a downward force. These two opposite forces constitute a torque which deflects the coil. No force will be exerted on the horizontal section. No force will be exerted on the horizontal side of the coil of length B, say, due to current is in them as they are always parallel to the magnetic field. The direction of the current is this, field is in this direction, so they are parallel to each other. So no force will be experienced by the horizontal part. So this vertical force and this vertical force in opposite direction constitute a torque. What is the magnitude of this force? We know the magnitude of the force. Before going to that, these are the controlling springs. These are the coils, this is the solid cylinder, and this is the horseshoe type permanent magnet north and south. And a needle is connected to the spring, so at the steady state it indicates the deflection. This is the magnified view of the Fleming's left hand rule. For understanding the Fleming's left hand rule, you know this is the direction of the magnetic field indicated by the forefinger, direction of the current by the middle finger, and this is the direction of the force or throw along the thumb. This is my left hand, and this is the magnified picture of this part, and this part is magnified here. This is the magnified view. Okay, now let us see what is the force. You know, the force on each side is force equal to, if n be the number of turns, we have shown here for simplicity that it is a single coil. This is a, we have discussed here with the help of a single coil, but to increase the deflection there are so many number of turns are there. Say capital N is the total number of turns here. So force is nothing but capital N into I into length of the coil into magnetic induction B of the magnetic field of the permanent magnet. Let us draw the coil again. Suppose this is the coil. Now it is shown vertical as in the practical case. These are the magnetic field, these are the magnetic pole pieces. Now it is horseshoe type. You can show it like this and like this. Suppose this is north pole and south pole, so this is the magnetic induction P. This is the length of the coil A, and B be the breadth of the coil B. So there is a force parallel to each other and perpendicular to this coil as shown in the figure before. So if this is the force, then the moment of the force or torque about the axis of rotation is nothing but magnitude of the force into distance between the two forces B. So this is the deflecting torque. If C be the couple per unit angle of twist, couple, restoring couple in fact, per unit angle of twist, restoring couple. This is deflecting, this is controlling or restoring couple per unit angle of twist, and theta be the steady deflection, then total controlling torque at the steady condition is equal to C theta. So at steady state, deflecting torque, now area A into B is the, length A into breadth B is the area of the coil, BI is the deflecting torque, NABI, that's equal to C theta at the steady state. So I is equal to C by NAB into theta. This is the couple per unit angle of twist, which is constant for a particular galvanometer. N, the total number of turns, area of the coil, magnetic induction due to the permanent magnet, all are constant of the particular galvanometer, so it is K into theta. Thus I is proportional to theta. If it is calibrated properly, that is, it is calibrated for a known current and known deflection, then unknown current can be find out with the help of this equation, I is equal to K theta. And if it is not calibrated, at least we can sense the whether there is a current or not. So here, if I is constant for a particular current I fixed is equal to K into theta, that is, if we increase the sensitivity of the deflection, that is for a fixed current, if we want to increase the theta, so we have to decrease this quantity. This can be decreased if we decrease the couple per unit angle of twist, if we increase the number of turns as it is in the denominator, if we increase the area, increase B. Again, since if we have to increase theta, we have to decrease this term as I is fixed for a particular current. If current is small, then for this particular small current, if we have to increase theta for better sensitivity, we have to decrease this constant. So since C is in the numerator, C is increased, total number of turns is to be suppose theta is to be increased, so this total constant is to be decreased. This will decrease if C is decreased as it is in the numerator, and all these terms in the denominator should be increased, that is, number of turns will increase, total area will increase, and B will increase. All these three terms should increase. This will make the total constant to reduce, which will increase theta for better sensitivity. Okay, I think it is clear to you. This galvanometer is very important for all electrical instruments, all electrical experiments. So for better understanding of the all electrical experiments, go through this video again and again to understand the galvanometer. Ammeter is nothing but a galvanometer with a low resistance in shunt, and voltmeter is nothing but a galvanometer with a high resistance in series. So galvanometer is an essential part of the electrical instruments. So go through this Darsow-Fall galvanometer, moving coil galvanometer, and I think it is clear to you. Thanks you for patient hearing. Thanking you again.